Carlton have had a fantastic victory today, and I know, as all of the keen followers of Millers TV will have been waiting for, this is our first interview since the 23rd of December. It's been an odd period with postponed fixtures, quite a build-up, 20 games to play in 10 weeks, but we return with a bang here at Stoke Lane, and I'm sat here with Niall to discuss, well, not only the victory today but his return. So Carlton have returned for the first time, but Niall, how did it feel after, it's been a hefty amount of time you've been off of the pitch? You played a full 90 today. Like, how are you feeling, and how hard was it during that giant period of time not kicking a ball?
I mean, I made a few mistakes trying to come back too early. Tried to come back pre-season, it wasn't gonna happen, I'm afraid, but played 2 90s now in a week. Feel alright, feel as you normally would after a 90. Had no reaction, so to be fair, I think we deserved a win on Wednesday. To say we started the game with essentially 8 players, as 3 of the lads hadn't had a chance to warm up. I think we played really well then, and today, I mean, it was a different ballpark altogether, because Wednesday was a bog, today there was just bobbling. Which, I mean, a lot of the lads were thinking, the pitch isn't good, but for everyone that's been here a couple of seasons at least, like myself, Fletch, Kieran, Steggs, can all say, like, the state it was in last February, you couldn't walk. So, to be fair, Lee's doing a good job. I think we've got to try and get more, well, when the home games are on, weather dependent, we've got to try and make sure we get 3 points every week, because all the top teams, they're the ones that have the good home form and they pick up points here and there when they're away, so there's no reason we can't do that.
Before we look at today's game, for anyone that doesn't know, tell the fans what your injury was and the process to be able to make it back onto the pitch, because obviously it was an extended one.
It was Easter Monday, down here against Baseford. I just went over on my ankle, ruptured the nerve, both the ligaments, fracture, and the muscle had died on the bottom of my foot, which I had a small operation on December 23rd, which went perfectly, but it was a long time getting to that because we couldn't work out what it was, because the swelling had come and go, but in the end got it sorted. Spent a lot of time doing my own thing, which, I mean, at the end of the day, hasn't been a nightmare, especially whilst I'm at uni in Leeds. So spent a lot of time in the gym down there working. Still wouldn't say I'm 100% fit, match fit at least, but minutes on the pitch is all that's going to give that. So appreciate Lee giving me 2 90 minutes last week, and hopefully we'll crack on from there.
And as you said, what 90 minutes to return to on Wednesday in a tough game against a side that realistically are flying in our league. But then today was a bit more of a local rivalry, a side that we've always been competitive against, and the game opens and we open quite strongly and end up taking a 1-0 lead. Talk me through the first goal.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Jordan's done very well. He's got to the byline, because I was calling for it behind him. I thought, he's on his weaker side, but he's whipped it across, and Mammy's done exactly the right thing as the striker, got him back post to put it home. I mean, to be fair, all the times I've played Belper, I don't think we've lost, home or away. We've had the excitement last year when we got a goal last minute away from home. We've had a couple of draws. But as you see, it's a local rivalry. Players that sometimes leave here do go there, i.e. Jake Carlisle, and vice versa. So it is a team that we always want to beat. I think everyone, because a lot of the lads know each other from both sides. So I thought the result today was really good, and the first goal was a good bit of play from the 2 strikers who are really playing well at the moment.
And like you say, Jake's had obviously quite a successful spell here, and I'm pretty sure all of the fans will have been sad to see him go, but his eyes will have been gleaming a little bit. Having dominated most of the opening play, we found ourselves on the end of a counter-attack that we could have easily been punished for, and then dealt with it. And then seconds later, end up being on the end of a return goal.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's similar to Wednesday in the fact that we weren't really controlling the game. Did the same today, but we got a goal ahead. We just need to settle down, I think, a bit more, because we get these one goal leads, and we start going immediately for the second. Probably more about sitting back, well, not sitting back, but almost controlling the game 5 minutes, get everyone's heads on it, get in positions and stuff. We did get caught a bit on the counter. I thought, to be fair, it was a foul on Danny Elliott, pushing the back. Referee ain't giving that one. Then when the resulting free kick, he's walked. I'm sure it's a 15-yard wall because we're miles back. But Steggs knows.
You can't blame the size of his legs, though.
Steggs knows himself that he shouldn't be beaten on his side. Discussed it at half time. He takes responsibility for that. But I think second half, because to be fair, there's been a lot. He doesn't always get the credit he deserves sometimes, Steggs, with some of the point blank saves that he pulls off. I mean, because obviously a lot of the time he's kicking the ball. But I think second half today he really did come through. I mean, his kicks were a lot better. He was kicking it a lot cleaner. And I think it's just about his confidence. As long as he takes his time, plays a lot better. And everyone keeps telling him that. And if he keeps doing it, then we should have a better end to the season. But it's just about, as soon as we get this first goal, because we seem to be scoring freely at the moment, just need to make sure we settle down and control the game a little better.
And we talk about scoring freely because that's literally the perfect term for today in the end. So we enter second half, first 5 minutes is a bit up and down between both sides, and then we seem to find our footing in the game. And I mean, 3 goals in the second half. We'll leave the last one because we ought to focus on that a tad extra. But the second and third goal were, very good goals. Talk me through how we got to that stage where all of a sudden we found that confidence in us to go and really take it to them.
Yeah, I mean, Hutch has pulled out a bit of brilliance. He's used the wind incredibly well. He's whipped it and it's gone in far post, straight from the throw-in. I think that's a key. Hutch is one of the key players in this team at the moment. He's got, when he performs, he's spreading balls around, as you saw a lot more in the second half when we're getting the ball into his feet. We all know what he can do on the ball. So, but the finish itself was unbelievable, right into the side netting.
And the third goal,
Jordan's goal.
Yeah, Jordan's.
Well, at the end of the day, Jordan's getting on the score sheet week in, week out. He's doing his job. Him and Mami both scoring goals, but I think everyone knows the ability we've got up front. And now, when he came here last season, he might not have scored as many as he is now, and it shows the progression he's taking in his finishing. He's also taking money off Steggs. He's got the little bet on for a clean sheet and a Jordan goal, which he must be happy about. But as I said, he's scoring his goals, and if he's scoring weekly, obviously mid-weekly as it's coming at the moment as well. So as long as if those two are scoring goals and Hutch is contributing as well, we should be well on track.
Yeah, and I must say I'm very impressed with the new look attack up front, and we talk about going back to the start of the season and how much George has progressed throughout the season and last year. Obviously this year we started with Wilf up front and Jordan, and Jordan has now done that consistently, and if anything has raised his game. But obviously as Wilf has gone out, Mameke was on the bench at the start of the season, and he started getting some minutes under his belt, and a game like today is really where he shines through his progression as well. Talk us through the fourth goal and what, to be fair, an absolute brilliant goal that was.
Yeah, well, that's his bread and butter. If you give him the ball to run it one-on-one 90% of the time, I mean, it came from their corner, and as soon as the ball's gone up to him, our team knew. We knew exactly what was going to happen. Defender didn't look like he wanted it. He just breezed past him. It was a quality finish at the end, sending the keeper the wrong way. But as I said, that's what Mami loves to do. He gets on the ball and he runs at people, and it's just got to keep progressing the same way he's doing now, because he's scoring goals, he's scaring defenders, and the relationship between him and George, as it gets better and they start being able to work out where each other are going, it's only going to cause more havoc for defenders and games to come up. Obviously we've got a lot of games to come, so it's about making sure that we're not only we're conserving energy when we need to, but with everyone working together within the team, i.e. the strikers being on the same wavelength, it'll allow us to perform in each of the many games we've got coming up.
We talk about many games, like when you look at the league table, obviously when we start today, we look like we're in a relegation fodder battle, but in reality, obviously, that isn't quite the case when you've got like 7 or 8 games on half the top of the table. I mean, we have 7 games in hand, for instance, on 6th place in the table, and with 21 points we go ahead of them. Like, how rough is this period now as a footballer? Obviously, we talk about a busy winter period in England as a regular thing and not having a break, but at non-league level, obviously that is a genuine reality where you have games pile up. We're now going to go through 10 weeks with at least 2 games in, and that's obviously without any further postponements due to bad weather. Like, how tough is that on the team and the players to get through a work ethic like that, and you know, having that many games in a confined space of time?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we've had a lot of time off for home games due to the poor weather. I mean, it's the start of the season basically for me, so it's a lot of games in a short amount of time, but for the rest of the lads, it's already been quite a long season. But I mean, obviously we've got a lot of games in hand when we'd much rather have the points on the board, but it does give us that opportunity. I mean, we've got to accept that sometimes we are going to fatigue, and we've got to make sure we're controlling the game in the way that we aren't using up all our energy throughout the full 90 minutes. In terms of, if we start off quick, we need to make sure, if we're getting the goals ahead like we are, we've got to make sure we control the game to keep the lead, so they're not pegging us back so early on, because then it just means that we've got to put a lot more effort into going forward and pressing, when we could just keep our shape for a bit, conserve a bit of energy, because we have got a lot of games. I mean, more games in like a 10-week period than I've had since I've been here. And I don't think, to be fair, you can't really say it's to do with the pitch, because I think the pitch this season's been a lot better than it has been in previous seasons. I think the weather itself has just been poor. I mean, we haven't really had much chance to even give it a go. I mean, refs have come down and potentially just not fancied it, and therefore called the games off. But I mean, as I've said before, Lee did a great job in the summer. Spent a lot of time down here doing what he can. So I don't think we can't really complain too much about the pitch, because from what we've played on previously, it's 100 times better. So going forward, I mean, a lot of games means a lot of minutes, means a lot of football. But if we keep playing like we are, and there's no reason why we can't be taking points from a lot of our away games we've got coming up, but then making our home fortress and taking 3 points weekly. So to be fair, it's an exciting time, but obviously, as I said, we'd much rather have the points on the board, but we've got to go out there and do the work now.
Well, as a final question, because I mean, this is nothing to do with Carlton at all, because I feel it's hard to talk about Carlton that much at the minute because of the position we're in the table with the games outstanding. So I'll pose to you something. When you last had a fitness test, was the last day of the season last year against Basford. Basford last season obviously missed out on the playoffs because they got stuck to the 3 points. This season they seem to have found an entirely different mode. Like, what do you think's made the difference this season to them? And like, they're miles clear, and they've come against some real competitive sides in Alvechurch, Cleethorpes, like we've talked about. Like, how do you make that progression, and like, why are they so far clear?
I think the obvious one is money. The obvious one is always money. At this level, clubs with the most money are much more likely to advance. I think the fact that they've changed their pitch to a 4G pitch for the last 2 seasons now, and especially this season, they've worked out how to play exactly how they want to. They keep a good shape, They score a lot of goals, but they play a lot of good football as well. I mean, which was surprising when we went there last year. They were still playing a lot of the same football you see at this level. I mean, a lot of over the top, whereas as you see now they're playing 1-2s, they're playing in triangles. But I mean, it's a tough one because you've got a lot of teams who aren't in the same financial position as them, like ourselves, pretty much every other team in the league. But in a game, football, basically, they haven't run away with every game. They've had to come back from behind in a lot of games. Obviously, I think, referring to Carlton's game against Baseford away, Boxing Day, I'm not going to lie, I didn't think they was overly impressive. I think that the result flattered Baseford a lot. They had a lot of possession, but there was a time when it was 1-1 and it was an even game. I mean, yes, they've got a lot of good players which they can afford to almost pay whatever they want, and they can afford to have a big squad of players that they can rotate weekly, which isn't always a luxury that every other club has. But they are playing a lot of good football, which you could say is probably league above football. But I mean, any team, any game in this league can cause a shock. There's not a week you will never look on a Saturday and think, oh yeah, that's the result I'd have seen. That's every single game, because that's just not how it works. It's about the 11 that turn up on the day. Hopefully we can get a good win against Dunkirk and see them again in the cup final.
Quite tasty, wouldn't it? And this time you get a shot at it.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think so. Obviously missed out last year, but as I said, like last year, no one expected us to win the game, and the way we won it as well, it was convincing. So at the end of the day, football's football. So hopefully we can progress. We know that Baseford are probably going to win the league by streets.
By streets.
But we can only focus on what we've got to do. We've got a lot of games in hand, and we need to get points from them. First of all, then get out of this ideology of a relegation battle, and we can look to really press potentially into the top half of the league, and there's no reason why we can't do that.
Totally agree. Oh, thank you
for
spending your time talking to me when very clearly you're probably knackered after 2 90 minutes in a week. But thank you very much.
No worries, thank you very much. Cheers, thank you.